Order up! What is up? Taryn Williams, and I'm back with a brand new episode of the Order Up Podcast. So on this podcast, I wanted to talk about the NFL draft, but not necessarily just the draft. But I wanted to focus on a quarterback who I feel like isn't getting enough love in the draft. So if you are a big football fan, the NFL draft is April 24th, I think it is. So it's about the end of April. It's usually about the end of April every year. It's gonna be in Vegas. It's the first draft held in Vegas, which is a big deal. But with the whole coronavirus situation, they kind of had to modify some things. I think they're still gonna have the draft, but just not have any other fans in attendance, which is kind of sad. So a lot of the activities and the spectacle of the draft is gonna be diluted because you got to keep everybody safe because of the coronavirus. Also, I hope during this time, you and your family are safe. Be safe, do what you can, buy what you need, but don't overextend yourself too much. Stay safe. Wash your hands, stay sanitized, all that good stuff during this time. And just kind of the whole world is kind of in the prayers of everybody because we're all going through it. It's not like there's a certain section of the world being affected. Everybody's being affected by this thing. So be safe, be cautious, be mindful, but also be respectful. So that's my little PSA. So back to kind of the draft. So they've been talking about, of course, the drafts, and of course, the most high-profile position in football is the quarterbacks. And so they have their top quarterbacks. They kind of talk about the 5 quarterbacks that they were considering. In the top 5, Joe Burrow from LSU is considered the number 1 pick. He's almost a slam dunk to be the number 1 pick because the Cincinnati Bengals have the first pick. They need a quarterback. If you know me, you know I am a Cincinnati Bengals fan, so I'm hoping they take Joe Burrow. But we're not going to talk about Joe Burrow. So the person I want to talk about is Jalen Hurts from the University of Oklahoma, who transferred from Alabama because, of course, if you follow college football, you know that Bama had Tua Tagovailoa, who was the freshman back in 2018 when they won the national championship. Jalen Hurts was the junior. They kind of went back and forth for a little bit. Nick Saban didn't know who he wanted to start between the two. He ended up starting, Tua, Jalen a little bit, Tua in the national championship game. He actually replaced Jalen Hurts with Tua. They won. Jalen Hurts was really cool about it. But going into 2019, they didn't know who the starter was going to be. If it was going to be a battle or anything like that. Tua got the start, and Jalen transferred to Oklahoma. Jalen Hurts went ham at Oklahoma. I'm just going to run through his stats in a little bit. So Jalen Hurts at the University of Oklahoma, he put up almost 70% completion rate. He almost completed 70% of his completions. He completed 69.7 of his completions, 3,851 yards, 32 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and had a QB rating of 191.2 for the season, which is insane. This is just nuts. Jalen Hurts, he stands 6'2", 219. I might have to look up his combine stats to see how he did in the combine. But those are his stats last year. It was really good. He was a Heisman runner-up. But, and I'm looking at Sports Illustrated, so here are their top 5 quarterbacks in the draft. Joe Burrow's at 1. Tua's 2. Tua Tagovailoa. There we go. Justin Herbert is 3. The big 6'6" QB out of Oregon. Tua is from Alabama, if you didn't know. Jordan Love from Utah State. Jacob Eason from Washington. And then they go into the rest of their top 15 quarterbacks. Jake Fromm from Georgia. Jalen Hurts is ranked 7, so Jake Fromm is rated higher than Jalen Hurts. Anthony Gordon from Washington State. James Morgan from FIU. Cole McDonald from Hawaii. Steven Montez from Colorado. Nate Stanley from Iowa. Jake Luton from Oregon State. Bryce Perkins from Virginia. And Brian Lewerke from Michigan State. Those are the top 15. And I feel like Jalen Hurts is going to be a baller. He's not voted very high. He didn't crack the top 5 of this list. I think they have him going maybe second, maybe third round in the draft. But I think Jalen Hurts is going to be a baller, just personally speaking. I just think he has that, no one's really talking about him. But let's go through his achievements in college. So this is kind of everything he's gotten. He was the SEC Freshman of the Year in 2016, SEC Offensive Player of the Year in 2016, 2-time SEC Champion in 2016, 2018, First Team All-SEC in 2016, Big 12 Champion in 2019, First Team All-Big 12 in 2019, won the National Championship in 2018, Big 12 Offensive Newcomer of the Year in 2019. And of course, he was the Heisman Trophy runner-up in 2019 behind Joe Burrow and Chase Young. And then he was the 2018 National Quarterback Club College Quarterback of the Year, which he shared with Tua. The boy's been balling. He's been balling. He's been balling in college. He balled at Bama. His Bama. Let me see if I can go back. His Bama stats weren't the greatest per se, but he still balled. He still his time at Alabama. He still amassed. Let's see, 48 touchdowns and only 12 interceptions in his Bama career from 2016 to 2018. That's not bad at all. That's not bad in the slightest. He put up about just over 5,000 yards. Yep, about 5,500 yards. That's not bad in his 3 years in Bama, and then he had almost 4,000 yards in his one season at Oklahoma. The kid balling. The kid's going like I think he's only 21 too. So the kid's going crazy. Like the kid's been putting in work. But he's just not getting the same respect as Joe Burrow, as Tua. Tua's hurt, and Tua's had his hip injury, and Tua still get more love than Jalen Hurts, which is beyond me, if you ask me. And I just feel like he's gonna have. I just feel like he's gonna be the baller. I'm actually just gonna look up his combine stats really quickly, as you can hear me typing on the keyboard. Let's see if I can look up his combine profile and see what did he do. Yeah, so his combine grade was a 6.14, which it says good backup who could become a starter. I think he's better than that. I think he's gonna be a star. Like I just think he's going to be a star. Personally speaking, he ran a 4.5. So his 4 yard dash time at the combine was 4.59. So he still ran the combine in under 5 seconds. 35-inch broad jump or 35-inch vertical leap and 125-inch broad jump. Still pretty dope. Like they only project him to be a good backup, and then Coop can come. Nah, I think Jalen Hurts is gonna be a star. Like I think one because he's a leader. He had to go through all that stuff with Tua and Bama, and he held his composure. He wasn't gonna be a starter. He didn't like the way Alabama was kind of treated the situation, and he left. He left, went to Oklahoma, and balled out. I mean, he had CeeDee Lamb on the outside, who's also a top 15, draft prospect. But like the kid ball, and I think he's gonna be a star. I have that same feeling like with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson wasn't highly scouted. He was a third-round pick. Oh, he was coming into Seattle, be the backup behind Matt Flynn. He outplayed Matt Flynn. Pete Carroll was like, I'm gonna give the young gun the start. Russell Wilson won a Super Bowl, been to 2 Super Bowls. He was one interception away from having 2 Super Bowls in like his first 3 years or 4 years, something crazy like that. He's in the MVP conversation the past 2 years. Been a All Pro. I think he's been All Pro. Been to the Pro Bowl a bunch of times. Like he is a leader. I think he's one of the faces of the NFL Player Association. Like he's one of the faces of that now. I think Jalen Hurts has the same mold. I think Jalen Hurts could be an absolute baller, and people just aren't talking about him. I mean, because he doesn't just like jump off the page. But Joe Burrow came out of nowhere. Like I think if Joe Burrow didn't have that surge at the end of the year, I'm pretty sure Jalen Hurts would have won the Heisman because he was right there. He was going crazy. I think the first 6 weeks of the season, Jalen Hurts was going crazy. Like it was insane the numbers he was putting up. But yeah, I really feel like Jalen Hurts is. I think, and a lot of people have been connecting him to the Bears. A lot of people say that the Bears are going to draft him, which I'm like, oh, okay. I ain't gonna be mad about that. But I think what really hurt his draft stock was he just got outperformed by Joe Burrow in the Peach Bowl. Like they got destroyed. Like, LSU beat Oklahoma 63-28. Like got destroyed. And Jalen Hurts only put up 217 yards, only completed 48% of his passes, and threw an interception. He did have 2 rushing touchdowns, but yeah, he got outshined by Joe Burrow because Joe Burrow went absolutely bananas in that game. I wonder if I can see what Joe Burrow did. I don't feel like going through all this right now. But yeah, but I feel like Jalen Hurts isn't getting enough love in the draft process. Like he put up great numbers. He was 15th. Like he was 15th in the nation in yards with 38 51. He was tied for 15th with 8 interceptions. So he was like top 20 in the whole country. I forget how many people are qualified, but he was top 20 in the country in these stats, and no one's really talking about him. So Jalen Hurts, I really think he has a chance to be a star. He's like, if I'm, doing my, he's my pick to click in the draft. Like, I think he has a chance to be that star. That's something that he's not getting a lot of pub. No one's really talking about. I think he's a leader. He's a winner. Been winning his whole life. Like, he's gonna have a chip on his shoulder. He's gonna come in. He's gonna work. And as of right now, as I'm recording, the Bears are trading for Nick Foles. So you have Nick Foles and Mitch Trubisky. If they end up drafting another quarterback, if they draft Jalen Hurts, that's gonna be a pretty competitive room. Like, that's gonna be a pretty competitive quarterback room. And honestly, Chase Daniels might be on his way out. Personally, if they do that, or I'll keep Chase Daniels in the practice squad. Like, I would reserve a practice squad role for Chase Daniels. But yeah, like the Bears, because I didn't know like the Bears have been linked to Jalen Hurts in the draft. So and a lot of people I guess are saying the Bears are gonna take him. So I'm gonna look that up really quick. Yeah, I had no clue that they were looking at the Bears. Yeah, they're saying, I'm looking at this really quickly. Round 2, the Bears might take Jalen Hurts. Yeah, I think if he drops to the Bears, if he drops to round 2, or if he drops to round 3, like if he drops to round 3, that's a steal at round 3, in my personal opinion. You got a Heisman runner up in the 3rd round. I don't think he'll drop that low though. I think he's too talented. I think he's a professional mindset. He's a baller. He's a winner. Like, he's gonna play his heart out. I think he's too good to drop to the 3rd round personally. But the NFL is a different beast. Teams might not value him the way that I value him. But I think he's gonna shine. And I think if the Bears do take him, I think that's a hell of a pickup in the 2nd round or the 3rd round, wherever you can grab him. But Jalen Hurts is a quarterback I definitely want to watch. I think he's gonna have a chip on his shoulder. He's not gonna talk. It's gonna be all business. It's gonna be very Deshaun Watson like, very Patrick Mahomes like, where they don't talk a whole lot. They just play. And I think he's just gonna be a baller. And I think he's coming into the league at a very good time, especially for African American quarterbacks. I know some people are saying like, why you gotta bring up color for quarterbacks? Why is color such a thing? Because black quarterbacks wasn't the thing, and people did not want black quarterbacks. They didn't want black quarterback. They wanted the quarterback to be, they wanted the black players to be everything else except the quarterback. So it's a renaissance of black quarterbacks. I'm so proud of all of the guys, like everybody that's doing it. Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson, Teddy Bridgewater. Even, Geno Smith is still in the league. Tavares Jackson, Terrell Pryor was quarterback and wide receiver and running back and this and that. All these guys, all these black quarterbacks that are in the league. Dak Prescott, can't forget, Dakota, Allen, for Dallas. Like all these guys, like just love and respect, and just happy to see like the black quarterback be, dominant, and just let them show, we're not just running backs, we're not just DBs, we're not just offensive linemen. We can be the face of the franchise too. And I think Jalen Hurts has the potential to be the face of the franchise, if you ask me. But thank you so much for listening to this brand new episode of the Order of Podcast. I'm trying to get back to dropping these every Tuesday. It might not be every Tuesday. It might end up being every other Tuesday, or maybe it might be on a Wednesday. It just depends on how the schedule is shaping up to be. I want to drop a little bit more of these when I get kind of thoughts and ideas of what I want to talk about. But thank you so much for supporting the podcast. We've almost gotten to 20 episodes. I'm excited. 20 episodes of anything is, consistent. And consistency is all you want. But thank you so much for supporting the podcast. Of course, you can find the podcast on Anchor, on SoundCloud, on Spotify, on iTunes, on Google Play Music, on Breaker, on something else. It's a bunch of places. But definitely check it out. Definitely look for it. Just kind of help the SEO of the podcast. Just look for it wherever you can. Put it in Google. You can find it on YouTube as well through the YouTube channel, SlicingDicingGaming.com. For all my other videos, my cooking videos, my other video game stuff. Merch is always on the website, www.SlicingDicingGaming.com. Also, you can check me out on Twitch at twitch.tv/SlicingDicingGamingEnt. That'll be it for this episode. Again, thank you so much for supporting and checking it out. I greatly appreciate it. Always and forever, Slicing, Dicing, Gaming. It's not just a motto, it's a lifestyle. I'll see you later. Have a good one.